Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Wednesdays with Wendy. For those of you who are new, my name is Wendy Garvin Mayo. I am a nurse practitioner, life coach, and cancer caregiver consultant. Thank you so much for being here. As you may have seen in the post, we are doing Wednesdays with Wendy an hour earlier, so 7 p.m. opposed to 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. So hopefully people can join live or just watch the replay. So the month of December, I decided to focus on a book, The 4 Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom by Don Miguel Ruiz. This book was actually recommended to me by one of my caregivers. It's a really great book. And it was so good that I said, we should really talk about it on this platform because I think it can be beneficial to everyone, even, including myself. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your words. So that's what we're going to focus in on today. And let me know in the chat how many of you have actually read this book or heard of it or is currently reading it. Let me know in the chat. So I wanted to start off by saying all of us know that, our words are used to really communicate our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings, but our words hold a lot of energy and power when they leave our mouth. And I'm not sure if we're always aware of that. So by the time a word leaves our mouth to someone's ear, it's implanted in their brain, and it can do good or bad. Mr. Ruiz uses the analogy of words are like seeds and our minds are like fertilizer. So we have to really be careful what we're planting in other people's heads. So when we speak, we're planting these seeds, right, that can impact someone else's thoughts, ideas, or feelings. And that's a lot of power to have as an individual. So it's essential that we try to be intentional with our words, right, and mindful of the impact they really have on the people we're communicating with or even the world. We also need to be conscious of how we wrap our words. And what do I mean by that? I mean the tone of voice we use, the facial expressions, all those things that go along with communication, because that also impacts the weight or energy of the words we use. And I'm sure many of you have heard, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? So I think we have to be conscious of that as well. So how can we do this? What are some things we can do? So, I'm taking this advice too, and something I've, been working on, especially facial expressions. I'm very expressive. But I think really slowing down, listening to whoever we're communicating with, right? That's really important. And really processing what people are saying, what we want to say. So processing our thoughts before we speak. And that comes with silence. Right? So there may be long gaps of silence, and many people are uncomfortable with silence. Let me know if you are uncomfortable when things get really silent and the ball's in your court and you have to say something. That can be very uncomfortable. And when you get uncomfortable, you just react, right? So you may say something that you really don't mean or may not come out the right way. So I think, we need to be mindful of what we're saying, what our thoughts are, and making sure we're saying it with the correct intention. The book also discussed the importance of being aware of the words we speak to ourselves. And I think this is really essential, right? And I think, this is referring to verbal words and nonverbal words. Those nonverbal words are our thoughts, right? What's going on in our minds. And those words can really become our reality. So that's why it's really important. It's also important to keep our inner critics in check. And our inner critic is that inner voice in our head that speaks to us. Keeping that in check, because that can also impact our thoughts, right? Or the words we use. How many of you have inner critics? Yes, facial expressions are important. Yes, I do not have a poker face at all. I'm with you there. Someone has read the book a few times. Hi, Cindy. Thank you for joining. So let me know how many of you have an inner critic. So I also wanted to kind of move along and say, go into sometimes the words we speak, to ourselves or a reflection of what had been planted in our minds as children. And sometimes, those words that, we may have heard as a child, whether from parents or mentors or school teachers, they fester, for so long, and they become agreements. And my interpretation of the book is the agreement is really the belief that you carry from words that are said to you or that you take in or words that you tell yourself, right? So they become our beliefs. And these agreements about ourselves, become our reality, right? Of how we see ourselves or how we see the world. So it's important that we take time to really evaluate our current agreements, right? So what do we think about ourselves? What do we think about the world? And really determine if these agreements are benefiting our lives, are they helpful, or are they hindering our lives, right? And if they're hindering our lives, we need to really be active in trying to change these agreements by making new agreements. So this makes me really think of affirmations, and I'm sure many people have heard of affirmations. How many of you do affirmations, heard of affirmations, live by affirmations? So affirmations are very powerful, and I'm saying that from personal experience. And I have a few favorite affirmations that I do want to share. So I have 3 listed. What am I do? I am doing my best. So they usually I am statements. I am more than enough, and I'm definitely capable. Those are some of the affirmations I like to live by and pass on to other people. If you have any affirmations, put them in the chat so I can see what affirmations you tell yourself. So words can have a cyclic effect. So that's input and output. The words we fertilize and water, become our beliefs, right? And then I believe that really impacts the way we feel about ourselves and the words we use to communicate to the world. So it's important that we're aware of, one, what words or, what audio we really surround ourselves with. So that's music, podcasts, TV, conversations we engage in. We have to be really mindful of those because, it may not be directed to us, but if we're in the environment, it can still impact us. And therefore, when you feel a certain way about yourself, right, it really impacts how you treat or interact with other people. So, I know we talk about self-care a lot on this platform, but that's really important, is to really make sure you are feeding yourself positivity so you are solid. So even if someone tries to plant seeds that are not good, you won't fertilize them, right? So that self-care is really self-preservation, right? So it really allows you to build a foundation for yourself where you can control what comes in and what actually goes out. So that's really important. So I just wanted to put that out there, and we're in control of this. This is our lives, what we put out, how we show up, how people see us, how we communicate with people. We are definitely in control of this. So with that, my inner critic wants center stage. Ooh, I love that. And how do you not give your critic center stage? And I'm sorry, I can't see your name. It just says Facebook user. I live by them. Affirmations are a great support for anxiety. My mind's autopilot affirmation is, I am healthy, feminine, powerful, and loved. I love that. I love that. Great. Unfortunately, girls are getting the negatives very early on. Yes, and our kids are essential because they're sponges, right? So what we say to them, what we expose them to is very essential. And I'm a true believer that it starts from childhood, right? How we talk to our kids, how we interact with them. Those are all me. Yes, it's me, Lish. Hi, Lish. Thanks for joining. Facebook user. Great. Yeah, so I thought, this chapter of the book was really, really, really good. And I think it's a great lesson, even, for me personally, to be mindful of. And, a lot of us know these things, but it's a nice reminder to be mindful of what we're saying. And I think more importantly, how we're impacting the world and the people we love. Because sometimes we say things and kind of just move on, and that person is kind of left with, those feelings or ideas or thoughts, right? And if we are saying things that are hurting people or things that are not so positive, we need to check ourselves and figure out what's making us want to interact that way with an individual we love, right? Or any human being, right? So I think that's really important to definitely do some self-checks. And I'm big on time and space, giving yourself time and space to process, to think about what you're doing. So as we wrap up, hi, Sarah, thanks for joining. As we wrap up, I have a challenge for you. I want you to take some time to really think about the agreements that you hold about yourself and assess if they are positive or negative. Is it something that you want this agreement to represent you in the world? And if you determine that the agreement does not represent you, I want you to really try to find some ways to change them. And one way you can do that is really affirmations, to really change your agreements of how you believe you should show up or the world should see you. So we all want to have a positive impact on the world, especially now with everything going on with COVID-19. We need each other. So that's my challenge, is to really just take a minute to really assess your beliefs and thoughts and be mindful when you're communicating with people. Be mindful of the words, your tone, your facial expressions. And let's try to just spread some positivity in the world. And with that, everybody have a great evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. My inner sarcasm has trouble with affirmations. Yes, and affirmations are not for everyone. They're definitely not for everyone. I've had some clients who they can't do it. They can't do affirmations, but you have to find other ways to, train your thoughts, right? Because you're in control of them. So it may not be affirmations. It may be something else you do to train your thoughts. So with that, thank you again for joining, and I will see you next week to discuss chapter 2. All right, have a good night, everyone. Thank you.